It's hard to believe the Game Boy Advance just turned 20 years old in North America. I am so old. I am so old. Getting grayer by the day. But I thought we'd just take a few moments today to reminisce about the Game Boy Advance. I'll share some of my favorite memories with the system, some of my favorite games, favorite things about it, and I'd love to hear from you as well in the comments. What are some of your favorite Game Boy Advance memories? What were some of your favorite games? Whatever you feel like sharing. I remember the Christmas I got my Game Boy Advance, and it was one of my favorite Christmases ever. That was just so unbelievable. I played that thing non-stop. I took it everywhere I went. It felt like I carried it around the house with me. It was just unbelievable. It was such a step up from the Game Boy Color. It was like, basically it felt like going from, an 8-bit system to a 16-bit system. I just couldn't believe the power of this thing, how good the graphics looked. It was just incredible. My parents got me the Costco bundle at the time, I believe. It had the Glacier Blue Game Boy Advance, and I wish I still had it. I wish I still had it to this day, but mistakes made, And it came with 2 games. The first game I put on was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. And again, when I first saw this, when I first got into that game, I could not believe my eyes. It was so amazing. It looked 3D. It looked unlike anything I had seen on a handheld before. The game had an isometric viewpoint, but it really did look and feel 3D. It felt a lot like its console counterparts with just an overhead view. With the new shoulder buttons, in addition to the 2 face buttons on the Game Boy Advance, you could really pull off all the same tricks that you would in the console version. There were enough buttons now, you could do everything. And the levels, some of the game was a little bit downscaled, but for the most part, all the levels were represented very accurately in this, reimagined isometric view. All the hidden items and objectives were there. It was just so much fun, and it remained one of my favorite games on the system over the years, and one that I would always pick up and play. It's just something easy to jump into whenever I wanted to. Such a great game, but that wasn't all. The bundle also came with Mega Man Battle Network, which was fantastic also. Here was a Mega Man game, but it was unlike any other Mega Man game. It was an RPG. I know there was Mega Man Legends before, but this is a different type of RPG. This one has you playing in 2 different worlds. Half of the game takes place in the real world, the physical world, and half of the game takes place basically in the Matrix. You play as this kid Lan in the real world who has this kind of like a digital pet. I think Digimon back in the day. But it's this little electronic device. This was like before smartphones, but you could do all these fancy features on this device, like get email and whatever. But you can also jack into the internet, which is like jacking into the Matrix. But when you go into the Matrix, you go into this digital world, then you are Mega Man. And you're exploring these different digital worlds basically, and you're trying to defeat these viruses, because these viruses are taking over and they're causing mayhem in the real world. Like, everyone has a smart home in this game, everything's electronic, and they're all connected to the web, and so people's stoves and ovens are getting hacked and they're shooting fireballs into their homes. So you have to go in and stop this virus and stop people's houses from burning down. There's another part where all the traffic lights have been hacked, and so the traffic signals are going crazy and cars are crashing into each other. So you have to go in there and fix this, go kill the virus and save people and prevent more, car crashes. So very cool stuff. Also very lighthearted game. Beautiful, anime style graphics. The combat in the game is unlike anything else that I've played even to this day. It's a combination of action, real-time action and some kind of turn-based mechanics. You have strategy elements. You're playing on this grid where you can move around freely and shoot at bad guys, but also you have this deck of cards with special abilities. So there's this whole strategic deck building element, and you can collect these cards which give Mega Man special attacks and abilities. But even so, all the action is in real time, so you're using your mind, you're using your reflexes at the same time. It's a really cool battle system. Great game. I remember it took me a while. Some of the areas were a little tedious, but I loved it, and I eventually did play through the whole game. It spawned a whole, successful series of sequels as well. I never played any of the rest. Maybe I'll dive into them today, but anyway, yeah, those were my first 2 games that I got that Christmas, and I just played the heck out of them. Such a good time. I just couldn't believe the quality of these games and the power of this handheld device I was playing on. Now, the Game Boy Advance has a huge library of great games. I know there are over 1,300 games for the Game Boy Advance. Tons of great titles. As a kid, I wasn't able to get all the games I wanted, or sometimes the games I wanted weren't even any good, but I really enjoyed Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire version on the Game Boy Advance. I was a huge Pokemon fan. I was obsessed since Yellow version first came out, since I played that one, and I was not disappointed with the Game Boy Advance titles. Some of my other favorite memories though were playing with friends. With the Game Boy Advance, there were a lot more multiplayer games. If you had link cables, you and your friends could play a lot of the games together. Even if you didn't all have the same game, a lot of games had game sharing, and this was something new and revolutionary. I had never seen it before. It was awesome. So Mario Kart Super Circuit, that was a game I always wanted. I never had it myself, but my friend had it, and so I remember on occasion, like 3 or 4 of us would get together with our link cables, and we would all be able to race against each other using just our one friend's copy of the game, and each of our Game Boys connected via cables. So cool. I had Bomberman Tournament, and we did the same thing. That one had game sharing, so we were playing some classic Bomberman battle mode multiplayer on all our Game Boys with just my one copy of the game. It was really amazing. I think a really revolutionary feature that now we're seeing more and more with things like Steam's Remote Play Together feature. But yeah, it for sure it's an underutilized feature, and that was 20 years ago. I'd expect to see some more of that for sure. Really, so many great games, so many great times, so many great memories. Time and time again, I was just blown away by what the system could do. And booting up these games today, it still gives me that feeling. It takes me back to Christmas 2001, being a kid, and just the joy, the pure joy that I felt at that time. But I want to hear from you. What are your favorite Game Boy Advance memories? What were some of your favorite games? Let me know down in the comments. I appreciate you watching today. I'll see you next time.